What's up? I'm Mohawk Matt. You already know my story, but now I want to hear yours. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome to Brick by Brick. Again, we always want to thank you for taking your time to spend some time with us, spend about an hour with us. We really appreciate it. There's so many shows you could watch. I mean, we all know YouTube is overwhelmed with it. And today you chose to spend some time with us, and we're very grateful. Today we have Freddy Negrete, one of the forefathers of black and gray tattooing, a great dude, someone I really appreciate and respect. And Freddy,
Yo,
this show's a little bit different. We like to talk to people like us that have been down that dark road and built themselves back up and come all the way back through change and all that redemption stuff.
oh, you got
There's
the right
no
guy.
better example than Freddy Negrete,
Yeah,
you know?
no better example.
Nobody better, yeah. So, I mean, we'd love to hear your story. And let's go back to young Freddy. Let's talk to young Freddy. Tell me a little bit about young Freddy and like what you went through growing up.
I don't know. I guess I started off a loser, you know, like my dad was a cholo gangster from Montavia.
Oh, really?
So was my mom. But my mom was actually, you know, in Boyle Heights, there used to be a Jewish neighborhood.
There was.
They were European, they were like German Jews that migrated to, and they settled in East LA, which was not a good choice for them.
But I will say, not to interrupt you, but like it was beautiful back then. Like when my parents talk about LA, it was so beautiful back in those areas in like the 50s and the 60s. It kind of slowly got worse and worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To where it is now.
Yeah.
It's like a shithole.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, yeah, so the little Jewish neighborhood they didn't really get along with the Hispanics. You know, the Hispanics, especially the cholo gangster.
Yeah.
Pachucos.
Pachucos, that's right.
Pachucos.
Yep.
And my dad was a Pachuco. But the thing that Jews hated the most was when their daughters would go with the Pachuco
Yeah.
Mexican guys.
I can see that. Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, and that's my mom and dad.
Oh, okay.
So, and then, you know, they tried to keep my mom away from my dad. And then she ended up just leaving, running away, and then living with a Hispanic, you know, Mexican family.
Okay.
And she learned Spanish. She took on, you know, the lifestyle. She joined the hood, you know.
She actually joined the hood, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Loyal
Okay.
Montavia. And then, you know, she ended up with my dad. He was from Kern, Montavia. And then, you know, he got busted for robbery, went to prison. And then she got busted for murder, you know.
Really?
Yeah. She shot a girl with a zip gun.
Those.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I remember those little one-hitter quitters.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Whoa.
just- they would take the antenna from a car
Yep.
and mount it on a piece of wood
With like
with a sliding
with a
lock
sliding. Yeah. Yeah.
and a rubber band. And just
Yeah.
bat. So, I was 2 and my sister was 4.
Yeah.
And, you know, the family she was living with, you know, they weren't going to keep us. So we got turned over as wards of the court.
So you and your sister were like adopted?
So we didn't actually get adopted, but we went into a foster home.
Okay.
So we went through the system,
All right.
McLaren Hall.
Oh my
And then,
God, I remember that. Yeah.
And we ended up in a foster home, which had a really bad dark side, but also kind of a bright side too.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, number one, they kept my sister and I together. Usually kids like that in the system get separated.
Okay, that's good.
And you don't find each other till later. But they were, you know, we were, you know, Mexican kids.
Yeah.
And they were white Mormons. And kind of their thing was like, we're going to beat the Mexican out of these kids, you know, like.
It's horrible to say.
So, yeah, so life was rough.
Okay.
There.
So you were drawn to like the whole Chicano lifestyle, that culture, that like
Yeah, well, you know, like,
probably started because of that treatment, I would assume.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, you know, so it's a white neighborhood, white
Yeah.
part of the neighborhood. And, you know, because of the mistreatment, I started off a rebel, but, you know, back then there was surfers and beaners, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, my dad was a surfer.
yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
even though they never served.
Yeah, no, they never surfed. They were just like,
Just-
what they call them, socias, or my dad said another term.
That was before
That
us.
was before you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But our generation was surfers and beaners,
Okay.
and they kind of fought. But so I started off as a surfer.
I
You know-
can't picture it. No
Yeah.
way.
You know, so when I was 10, 11, I was on skateboard and
Yeah.
but I was a bad kid, and so we kind of got along. We knew the little Mexican kids that
Hmm.
would end up being for the barrio, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
gang.
Yeah.
So we all kind of knew each other, you know what I mean? Because we were troublemakers,
Yeah.
and then we'd get in trouble with them, you know.
Alright.
So we'd hang out with the Mexican kids. But so when I made the transition, because you know I went all the way bad, and I was like, you know what, fuck this foster home,
Yeah.
and I just started running away, and you know, I started going to the beach and stuff like that, like Seal Beach.
Oh,
That-
wow.
Back then, it was funny. It was like there was so many runaways. There was like
Yeah.
30 of us sleeping under the pier,
Really?
and there was drugs everywhere.
Good
It
Lord.
was like 1968. You know, it's just
Yeah.
like the hippie era. But you know, so you know, and then I ended up going into juvenile hall and stuff.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah,
So what brought you to juvenile hall first? Like what
runaway,
runaway? Just
and incorrigible. And you know where I went first? Orange County Juvenile Hall.
no way.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
where I
wow.
was first.
Oh yeah, because Seal Beach is obviously in that area.
But you know, the whole time I always knew, you know, that I was Mexican. But you know, I'm light complected. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
but so I always had, you know, had this thing for the homies, you know,
Yeah.
for Mexicans.
Yeah.
And when I started going to juvenile hall, I started making a transition. You know, it's just
Okay.
like, you know what, I'm Chicano.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I belong with these guys over here.
Absolutely.
You know, and you know, I ended up going to a boys' home, and that's where I made the transition all the way. It's funny, the kid that I really like was drawn to,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean, like influenced me, was this kid Mouse from Lomas,
Mouse
which
from-
ended up being our blood enemies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he was from Lomas, and you know, like he was a little older,
Yeah.
so I was like 11, and he was schooling me on, you know, standing and walking like
How
a
you
cholo.
stand? Well, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, now this is how you walk, you know, 1 foot in front, well,
Yeah.
one
One-
foot, you know, like this.
Yeah. With the flannel and the three buttons. Yeah.
So yeah, it's and then you know, the boys' home would take us to buy clothes, so he would guide me on the right clothes to
Yeah.
get and stuff like that.
Now, did they kind of pick the clothes, or were you able to kind of
No,
tweak
you
it a
got
little
what
bit?
you wanted.
Really? Just
Yeah.
big sizes and everything?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I was in one myself, and they were really like, if I wanted a Pendleton, they would make sure it was like a medium and not the double X I wanted, or
Probably because they got a little bit hep to, you know,
us manipulate. Yeah, then they got
you're a little bit younger, you know what I mean? Like, so I was from an era where they didn't know what was going on.
I feel like this is also almost around the time like Boulevard Nights. It's that style,
Yeah.
correct? Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, so you know, so that's where I made the transition.
Okay.
And then you know, me and some other kids, we ran away from that,
Yeah.
you know, and so I went to San Gabriel where I was brought up, but I went
Yeah.
to the hood,
Mhm.
to Sangra, and
Now now help me understand this. Sangra is in what part of San Gabriel? It's in the city of San Gabriel, or is it in El Monte, kind of like
no, it's in the city of
city of
San
San Gabriel. Okay.
So, you know, like those cities in San Gabriel Valley, they're small cities.
Yeah.
And there's like the barrio,
Yeah.
you know, where the Mexicans live.
Mm-hmm.
And then those kind of like suburbs around,
Yeah.
you know, like where the white community
Yeah.
was.
Same as San Fernando Valley for me. Same.
Yeah. So I ran away and I went to the neighborhood
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, hey, you know, I want to join Sangra, you know, and they're like,
Yeah.
this is Fred Barker? You know, like, what happened to you, dude? And I was like, you know what, that's not even my name. My name is Fernando
That's right.
Negrete, you know, like,
Uh-huh.
and I want to jump into the barrio, you know?
Yeah.
So they jumped me in that night.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I became a homie, 12 years old.
Yeah. Now, have you ever shared what your nickname was with anyone? Does anyone know what your hood name was?
It's Coyote.
Coyote.
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
Well,
I never
because I always write Coyote. Whenever I sign things, I put Freddy and Negrete, and then I gang right Coyote.
I actually think I have a poster that you signed the first time I met you at Golden State like 7 years ago. I think you might have signed that.
Yeah.
I think you.
And you know why they call me Coyote? Well,
Why?
I mean, I'll just jump ahead real fast, but so well, I ended up in juvenile hall. Well, actually, let me finish this.
Yeah.
So I joined the hood, and then I felt like I really got something to prove here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because these guys remember me as being a surfer. You know what I mean? So I became like the crazy little homie. Like I did all the damage. I was always
Raised your
busted.
hand.
Yeah.
Anything shows up, let me do it.
You know what I mean? Like I was there.
Yeah.
And I made sure I was the craziest homie.
That's awesome.
And so I ended up locked up all the time. Like
in and out of juvenile facilities.
Yeah, because I ran away from that boys' home.
Yeah.
So I go to another placement, run away, be in the border, they catch me. Then I went to camp, AWOL from camp.
I went to camp a few times.
You know what I mean? Like I went like 3 times too. But each time I would escape and they'd send me back. And then I finished my time and then I went back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but when I was 14, because I didn't have any family to go to, you know what I mean? Like, that's why they kept putting me from institution to institution. I wasn't going to go back to that foster home.
Yeah.
And so I was in juvenile hall and I was like completely incorrigible. Like I was in a lockup unit. It was called XY.
Yeah.
You remember XY?
Is that Central or East Lake?
Central.
Central, yeah.
And because I all I did was fight and go crazy on the yard.
As soon as you're out of the cell, huh? As soon as you're out of,
And so they finally just said, okay, he's beyond control. And they were trying to send me to YA, and they put me in XY. And you only come out for a half an hour a day.
Maybe a half hour. A shower.
I'm like 14 years old, just locked in a cell. Yeah. Coming out just a half hour a day. And so then they said, oh, you got to visit your mom's here. I was like, my mom? That bitch? I was thinking of my foster mom, like.
Yeah.
And so I go out there and she's right there. And I look and it's this young lady, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and she had her hair all black, but kind of up. She looked like a chola, like an older chola.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is my mom?
Yeah.
And I went over there and she's like, like, oh, mijo. Da, da, da. And I was like, oh, okay. She goes, they said that I could talk to your father and get you out and you can come live with me. And I was like,
oh, where are we at?
Mom.
Mom, yeah, Mom. Sure. Yeah.
So, but that was kind of a difficult thing, because.
Well, isn't it crazy though, not to interrupt you, but like I think of like that moment you're talking about because you were just incorrigible. That's a good word because I was similar. Like any angle I could use to manipulate somebody, even if you were my mom, back then I would exploit anything to get what I wanted or for us to get more action on the streets with our homies.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's that moment you said, okay, sure, mom, let's go. Like, I don't even care if you are, let's just go.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
She was going to get me out.
Yeah. What do we got to do?
Okay, mom.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go. And, so they finally approved it. I think they were just like happy to get me out of the system, just like, so, I went home with her and she lived in South Central and, she was married to like an old black man, like he was like a security guard, but so what happens with a lot of the Chicana girls way back in the day and white girls, like they'd end up going to jail doing time. Like she did, I forgot how many years, like 10 years or something.
For murder or something.
For that murder.
Yeah.
And they kind of take on the black culture.
Yeah.
Like the accent.
The accent, the talk,
and they go with black men, but they look for black men that will support them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's what that situation was. Okay. And I was like, I don't know about this, but whatever. I was out.
You're out, priority, yeah.
Yeah, and she turned out to be like a pillhead. You know what I mean? And that was crazy because every month she'd go to the doctor and she'd get Seconal, Truanols.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then for 5 days straight, she would just be fucked up out of her head. Just like, like, And then I'd steal her pills, take them with me to the neighborhood,
Yeah.
And
So wait, at this point, you're commuting from South Central to San Gabriel.
this is where my nickname comes in.
Oh, okay. All right.
So yeah, so I didn't. There was nothing for me in South Central.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be in my neighborhood, so I would have to jump on a bus and take a bus all the way across downtown LA, all the way to San Gabriel Valley to my hood in San Gabriel. And back then, it was just street gangs everywhere.
So what year are we at right now?
We're in
80s?
1970.
Oh, 70. So the gangs have always been that booming back then in those areas.
Yes.
Okay.
And then this is right before the shooting started.
Okay.
Back then, you'd be walking down your neighborhood and all of a sudden a carload of dudes would jump out and get you with tire.
Or maybe a pocket knife, probably the worst, huh?
The worst, you get a little stabbing.
Yeah.
They would just beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And that used to happen to me a lot. And by the time I got to the neighborhood, I was all beat up. And they're like, dude, you're like the coyote from Roadrunner.
Running through the hills and
The coyote's always getting a big rock dropped on his head or something.
By the wood.
So that's how I got the nickname.
Awesome.
And,
awesome.
And and I still, I didn't last long. I ended up going to youth authority.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so you ended up going in and out pretty repeatedly, huh? Constantly.
Yeah, constantly.
Yeah.
The longest I stayed out at one time would be 2 months.
Good Lord.
From the age 12 and until I finally got out of YA when I was 22.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I was pretty institutionalized.
So did you graduate you obviously graduated to adult prison too throughout this process, correct?
Eventually.
Yeah.
But no, that process, it all stopped in youth authority.
Really? Okay.
Because, and let me just say about my mom, so when I was in youth authority, she wrote me a few letters, but I knew things were really bad for her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She crashed so many cars and burnt so many apartments and just,
Jesus.
And then I never heard from her again and I never saw her again, so.
Sad.
But for me, when I was in youth authority, I went to Preston School of Industry.
Okay.
And it's funny because we used to, get on the phones and these telephone operators there would pick up our coins because they knew we were in the institution.
Yeah.
So they'd try to pick up our coins. So, and we'd be macking on the operators.
Yeah, rapping to them, yeah.
Yeah, so I met a telephone operator and then we started riding. She started visiting me. And then I found a way for her to bring me weed and I was sneaking into my radio.
That's awesome.
And then I connected her with some other people up there and they were mailing, granola boxes full of weed into the drug program. And I worked in the gym and when the package would come, I'd sneak down there and the guys would just hand me those boxes and we'd have a whole pound of weed.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And everybody was smoking and getting caught everywhere.
That's crazy. Yeah, because the smell alone is something hard to hide in jail.
They were getting busted left and right. And, the staff were like, who's bringing in this weed?
Yeah.
We got to find out what's going on. They suspected, some guards or, whatever. But eventually, just to make a long story short, it was me. I got caught.
It was me and the granola. In granola, that's a genius idea.
But what happened? So I kept everybody thinking that I was bringing it in on my radio. And then.
So they started to search your radio.
Yeah. But what happened? So, but I worked in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we got it from the drug program is because they would break the guys down and then build them up and then give them positions of authority.
Okay.
So the guy we had, they gave him searching the packages. So they trust him to search the packages. Okay. So he knew the stuff was there and then he'd give it to me.
Okay.
So, but meanwhile, I let everybody else think I was bringing it in my radio from the visiting hall, Okay. And everybody would gather when they'd see me coming from visit. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, and then they'd be like, did you get it? Did you get it?
Yeah.
Because you can get strung out on weed.
Well, you can, yeah. If that's all you have.
Especially in there.
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden, all my stash was at the gym. and they said the gym was closed for 2 weeks for some
Remodel or
repairs.
something, yeah.
And I was like, what? All my stash is there, you know, like we had our own room upstairs and the coaches, they just let us go. They never searched.
Yeah.
So, so I feel like it was a setup because, so I called my girl and I go, you know, just bring some weed, you know, like the old way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I had to have some even for my own head, you know? And sure enough, she brought it and I put it in the radio and they're like, Negrete, you and your visit coming up here. And I was like, what? What's
No
going on,
way.
you know? They snitched on me. Somebody snitched on me. And then they go, so we heard that you have something in the radio. And they found it. And that guy gets the radio and smashes it.
Damn.
He tells the girl, you get out of here.
There goes your visit,
You
yeah.
motherfucker. All this time you kissing our asses, acting like you were a model inmate. You were the one that was bringing it.
You were the one that had the whole facility smelling.
Oh, man. So they gave me 3 years in the hole.
3 years in the hole?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
For that. And the hole, so it was called Tamarack. Do you ever hear?
I mean, I've heard a little bit about it. I've never been to Hawaii myself.
Oh, okay. So Tamarack program, what they would do is if you were the worst of the worst ways. You started a riot.
Yeah.
You stuck somebody, whatever, you know, and so they'd send you to Tracy for 90-day observation.
Yeah.
But basically it was just kind of a, you know, like a scared straight thing.
Tracy's Gladiator School, right?
Yeah. Back
That's
then,
the dangerous one, yeah.
it was definitely gladiator school, but they put us in K-wing, you know, the lockup.
Uh-huh.
So we would be on this one row, and then the next tier were like people that were in there for killing people and stuff on the yard.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So they're thinking like, let's send them to prison for 90 days and scare them straight.
Yeah.
But all they did was educate us, you know, on prison
I
politics.
think the state never realized how bad of a move that was.
That's a bad move.
Bad move, yeah.
And then, so at Preston School of Industry, there's a big castle. That's the first YA ever. And then the first annex was in the back in like a gully. And it was a lockup. And it was exactly like a dungeon. You know what I mean? Like had big iron doors with little windows with, you know, like bars. And it was 2 tiers. And it was always dark and dingy.
Yeah.
So anyways, the staff there did something that never happens in any institution anywhere. The way, you know, to them were just like uncontrollable.
Uncontrollable kids, yeah.
Yeah, we're the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
So let's just give them what they want, let them tattoo, give them pornography, but as long as they don't kill each other.
Yeah.
And that was our thing. You know, we'll give you all this stuff. We'll let you tattoo. We'll bring you ink. We'll, you know, whatever.
Yeah. All that ended up backfiring. I remember being in the state when all the pornography issue backfired. People's cells were covered with it as decorations. The women were getting upset, the staff. It was a horrible
Right,
state.
right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it was illegal anyways. So that's where I honed my tattoo.
So this is where the tattooing kicked off.
Yeah. Because we had the plans for how to make a tattoo machine from Susanville.
Yeah.
And so we just started busting motors out of our radio.
Walkmans and radios.
Yeah.
Pancakes and Jolly Ranchers.
Everybody had tattoo machines.
Yeah.
And they would let us lock in our cells together, you know what I mean? Like,
Or you could switch cellies?
well, just during the day.
Oh, during the day, okay.
Because they're one-man cells.
Okay.
But, you know, during the day, 2 people could lock in a cell together.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And tattoo.
Wow.
So 2 years of that, I got pretty good.
Pretty good.
You know what I mean? To the point where I remember I even tattooed some of the staff.
I was going to ask you, I heard a rumor about this.
Yeah.
So that's true. You actually are one of the only people, because, you know, I'm going to tell you something, Freddie, you know, like you hear these stories on YouTube and where people have these fantastic stories that you know that they didn't do, that they've heard, that they've accepted for themselves and passed on. So you actually were one of the ones that accomplished.
Yeah, and I have 2 stories like that. Not only did I, in Youth Authority at Tamarack, was I tattooing the staff there, but also, you know, I tattooed sheriffs. And when I got arrested and the sheriffs went to Tattoo Mania and got all my equipment and took it to the gang module in the county jail. Whoa. And I was tattooing them there in the gang module.
Damn, that's crazy.
That,
while you were incarcerated, they went and got That's crazy.
That's the kind of shit that never happens.
No, that does it, but it does. And when you hear this, it's like, wow, this is a moment in time that it's never going to come back again, you know?
Yep.
Now, and is this kind of in that process back in Wyatt? Is this where the infamous, the original first Smile Now Cry Later thing?
Yeah.
Tell me about
Before I went to Tamarack, you know,
Yeah.
so I worked in the print shop.
Yeah.
You know, like the guys in the print shop were like, "Oh, dude," because I did all the drawing. You know,
Yeah.
I'm an artist,
Uh-huh.
and they're like, "Man, you got to get in the print shop with us. Look, he lets us print whatever we want."
Mhm.
You know, so basically, the instructor there we printed everything for all the prisons.
Mhm.
So once we got all this stuff done
You could
by
do what you
noon,
want.
the rest of the day he let us do whatever we want.
Wow.
So that instructor loved me, and he gave me the job and put me in the camera room. So I was, you know, making enlargements
Yeah.
and doing all that stuff, making plates.
Mm-hmm.
So so what we started doing was make stationery.
Okay.
So we just take you know, like legal size paper,
Mm-hmm.
print lines on it, and then down on the bottom we would put one of my designs.
Okay.
And it would kind of like double as a tattoo design.
Yeah.
And back then, prisons, you could write to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, you could. Yeah.
So we printed thousands of that shit, and everybody mailed it to all the prisons everywhere. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So all my designs,
Just flooded
made-
California.
yeah, the hood.
The hood. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To the point where, you know, when I did go to Good Time Charlie's after I got out,
Yeah.
they had my designs on the wall. You know, and I
Already.
was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, dude, I drew these," you know? And he's like, "Man, that's what everybody says,
Yeah.
that their uncle or a cousin
Uh-huh.
or whatever." Because people would write home and say, "Look what I drew, baby."
Yeah. They take your credit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
So and I was like, "Nah, look at it." I had the originals,
Yeah.
the original art on it.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so anyways, in Tamarack, I would always tell those staff, "You know what? Why don't you guys give me a time cut, you know?
Yeah.
Get me out of here, you know?
Mhm.
I'll get a job at a tattoo shop."
Yeah.
And then one day they said, "Hey, you're going to board tomorrow." And I was like, "What?" And I went to board, and they did this sparkling. They didn't say anything about tattooing,
Mhm.
but just saying that I was the only inmate they saw that really made a difference. I was a great artist, and they were sure that if I got out, I would get a job as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I got a year time cut.
And you would think this is what would be the thing to change everything for you, huh?
that did change everything.
It did change everything.
Yeah, that. You know, I don't know what direction my life would have went.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure without tattooing, I would have been, you know, a lifer too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I was just institutional. I was wired like that.
Well, you were drawn to the adventure and like the excitement of the gang
Just
life
everything. I was
Yeah.
a gangster.
Yeah.
You know, to the max.
to the max.
You know,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but learning how to tattoo so good in
Mhm.
Tamarack, being in a place where I could just freely draw and tattoo
Mm-hmm.
nonstop for 2 years without anybody, you know, like
They're messing with you.
without having to hide
Yeah.
or anything like that, and just, you know, it developed a skill in me, you know. And when I got out, I immediately set up shop. I paroled to Pico Rivera. I set up shop in my apartment,
Mm-hmm.
and I started tattooing people, big old tattoos for like $15.
$15. No
Yeah.
shit. That's when things were by the piece, huh? You just give me $15 for that
Well,
big old peacock or something.
yeah, I didn't even know nothing about tattoo shops.
Yeah.
But right away, I learned about Good Time Charlie's.
Yeah.
And people would tell me, "Dude, there's a tattoo shop on Whittier Boulevard down the street, man. These guys are bad." And they had tattoos, and I was like, "Whoa, shit!
Yeah.
It looks like jail style."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for us, you know, we didn't really like professional tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the bold line,
Yeah.
color.
Mhm.
That's not what our style was.
Yeah.
Fine lines,
Mm-hmm.
black and gray shading,
Yeah.
because we didn't have no colors in prison. You know. So, anyways, I started doing tattoos, and I say, because I just kept hearing about Güero this, Güero that,
Mhm.
and I saw his work. I was like, "Damn, this guy's good." You know, Güero from Ochentas, huh?
Yeah.
Right? And so I'd send people to Jack, and you know, they'd show him, and then finally they came and said, "Hey, you know, Güero wants to meet you."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I went over there and I met Jack,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I, you know, showed him my art. and we talked. I brought some people with me that I tattooed, and
Yeah.
man, we got along good, really good. You know,
That's awesome.
nobody offered me a job or anything like that. I was hoping that they would. You know,
Well, they still haven't offered you a job?
no.
But weren't you one of the first Chicano style tattoo artists to get a job in an actual shop?
Yes, shops were owned by bikers.
Yeah. I know in the valley they
That
were
time.
all owned by bikers.
Yeah. So, and bikers and cholo gangsters had a
Had
easy,
uneasy time back then.
yeah. Except there were, you know, Chicano bikers, you know, like the Mongols were in existence. Way
Yeah, they
back
were.
then and stuff.
Mhm.
So, you know, so he didn't offer me a job, but he's like, dude, let's keep in touch. And you know, anytime you do some work, send it my way so I could see and this and that. So, but just not long after that, somebody came down and said, hey, Weddle wants to see you at the tattoo shop. So what happened was Good Time Charlie turned Christian and sold the tattoo shop to Ed Hardy. And and Ed Hardy was a different breed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he was not a biker. He was like an artist,
Yeah.
an educated man, you know, artist. He was, you know, just a different class of tattooer. And he's like, we got to get this guy, Freddy, here
Yeah.
to relate to these people. Because in the middle of East LA, just gangsters everywhere.
Everywhere. Back then,
All
it was getting
gangster.
worse and worse back then. Yeah.
Yeah, it was hardcore,
Yeah.
you know. So I went down there and, you know, he gave me the job.
Right on.
I was supposed to, and that's where I did the freestyle tattoo and all that stuff. Everybody knows about that, but,
Yeah.
you know, I was supposed to do a 2-week apprenticeship, but, you know, Creeper quit the next day.
Oh, okay. So they had to bring you on full time.
Yeah.
Right
So
on.
anyways. So yeah, that changed the direction
Yeah.
of my life for sure, because now all of a sudden I was making money.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I was a robber, you know, like,
But was this enough to stop you from going back? Because you still, didn't you go back even after you were tattooing to jail once? Or something like
yeah.
that? Yeah, so you went back a couple
lot.
times, huh? Yeah, so you still weren't done with that other lifestyle.
no, I wasn't. But it did change me because, you know, I didn't have to rob anymore. You know, and that was the
You had
risk.
pocket money, but now your gangsterism changes a little
making
bit.
money.
Yeah,
You know, like I bought a car and I had all
fresh clothes.
custom clothes,
Yeah.
and everything. And, you know, so you know, I thought, you know, I need to settle down and get married, have a kid.
Yeah,
And, you know, and that's kind of what I did, but it was the drugs that got me.
so this is where the drugs come in.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that, like, given an opportunity like you've had, and I've had these too, it's still not enough to bring us out of that. For me, nothing could have brought me out of the drugs or that gang lifestyle. It was just, it had to happen when it happened.
Yeah.
But like, those kind of things still won't bring you out. Okay, so drugs are here
And
now.
the thing is, when I was a youngster, a gangster,
Yeah,
I was anti-heroin, you know, because
me too.
I
Nothing.
thought-
I didn't do nothing, Freddy. I didn't
Yeah.
drink, not even smoke cigarettes.
I mean, I did all that and drank and all that stuff, but when I see the older homeboys just like nod it off,
Yeah.
like this, and then they would be fraternizing with the enemy, you know what I mean? All of a sudden they're hanging out with the guys from the other side
Yeah,
for heroin, you
Yep.
know what I mean? Like, and I was like, oh, no. You know what I mean? And I saw that heroin would take control of their lives and they would just,
yeah.
you know, so I was against that. I was like, yeah, we got to be strong. We got to be alert. We're gangsters. You know,
My generation,
we got a war going on.
my generation had cocaine, crack cocaine. That's what ruined. Same exact thing you're saying. My homies, myself included. That was the first drug I ever tried. I went from being stone cold sober, baseball and gangsterism, to I tried crack cocaine, Freddie, and my life went boom. Within 1 year. I'm unreliable. I'm not cool. I'm dirty. I'm stealing from the homies. It's a fact. That drug just took me bad.
Yeah. So back then we didn't have cocaine. Like, we knew about cocaine, but they always said it was a rich man's high.
Yeah, but heroin was everywhere back then.
Yeah. Heroin and barbiturates, you know, pills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but mostly heroin. You know, so it was you know, it was surprising that I would end up doing heroin, but
Yeah.
I feel like it was like, yeah, man, my life is good. I got my car. I got a good job tattooing.
And you're married now?
Love.
Yeah.
I got my wife and my kid, and it's not enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
It's an empty hole.
getting high made everything like even better. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I can relate.
it was kind of that thing. Some people, you know, like use because they're down.
Mm-hmm.
Some people use just because they're addicts.
Yeah.
I was using because everything was going so good.
No, I understand. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Plus, I feel like part of you just like being the bad guy. I feel like you
I was
just,
in the hood still.
yeah, but you get like a high off being the bad guy, the ultimate bad guy too. Drugs, tattooing in the hood,
Right.
all of it encompasses one big, you know what I mean, arch enemy right there.
And then, you know, like, so my wife, she was a homegirl.
Yeah.
Her mother owned this big old house.
Yeah.
And then, so me and she had sections of the house for each daughter, you know,
Yeah.
and each daughter had, you know, like a homie, you know, so it was me and my 3 homies living there.
Damn.
And then the girls would go to work and then we'd be in the hood using and everything.
Damn.
And then I'd go to work at night. you know,
Okay.
like, so yeah, anyways.
Well, I mean, definitely addiction goes hand in hand with the streets. I know for me it did. I tried to fight it myself, but it eventually took over.
Yeah, it took over me. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
How long did the addiction last? Like how long did it last? Like tell me a little bit about that dark road, because that's
Well,
what I like to hammer home to people.
It seemed like, the first couple of times I got strung out. So, too bad they don't have this today, but they used to have these hospitals like, the Northridge
Oh yeah, Northridge Hospital.
and Metropolitan State Hospital. And there were these gigantic hospitals and there'd be thousands of people in there and it was all mentally ill people,
Yeah.
and back then, if you were, walking down the street going,
Yeah, you're being
"Ooh,"
committed.
they comes like,
Yep.
oh, right, this
72-hour hold.
they would take you,
Yeah.
and then, but at least they would medicate you,
Give
they
you
give you a
food.
meal,
Yeah.
they would try to, rehabilitate you, and they did the same thing for drug addicts.
Yeah.
And you could, for free, you could go into the hospital, stay there for 2 weeks, and they'd put you on methadone for 2 weeks.
That's right. That's right.
And then
Methadone.
you get your meals, you get to
Rest.
be with girls.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and and so I would quit get on the methadone program, and then quit, and then I would try to chip, like
We always tell ourselves, I'm just gonna Friday night, maybe just
Yeah,
Saturday. I'll work all week and I deserve it on Friday night, huh?
Yes.
And then you know damn well, what do they say? 1 is too many, 1,000 is never enough.
Yep.
Man.
So I always tried to chip,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd end up strung out.
Yeah.
And for me, it was always, like jails and institutions. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different, rock bottom.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I would always get busted.
Bro, I like to say I break out in handcuffs. Every time I
Yeah.
get loaded, 7-8 hours into my run, there's handcuffs on me for some reason.
I mean, as soon as I got
Yeah.
strung out,
Uh,
I would be like mean and ornery and just, because I knew that real soon I'm going to end up in jail.
yeah.
Whether I was tattooing
Mhm.
or whatever, you know what I
And
mean?
so you ended up in adult prison probably since some of this process, right?
Yeah, but not till I was 50.
Oh shit, that late?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I always got busted for under the influence or possession, and back then they just give you county time.
Yeah.
County time.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden it got overcrowded. So they give you a year in the county and you'd be out in 3 months.
Yeah.
So went through all that. But I get out, tattoo and, get
And you start chipping again.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was like a cycle.
Cycle, yeah. It's an
Crazy
unbeatable cycle, huh?
Yeah. But finally when I ended up in Hollywood,
Yeah.
Tattoo Mania,
Tattoo mania, yeah.
and those guys, it was Gil Monty, it was all biker
Money,
guys.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna say they used, but I was introduced to a new drug, speed.
Oh Lord, that was
And
my
then-
downfall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, speed and heroin, mixed together.
Yeah.
Like speedballs.
Goofballs. No, now today they call them goofballs.
Is that what they call
Go
them?
up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny because, I do heroin. Heroin makes you nod out.
Yeah.
But I always had a problem with doing heroin and tattooing because I'd be tattooing and all of a sudden I'm like this.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to turn around and see your tattooer like this. asleep in the middle of your
Yeah, yeah.
tattoo.
Uh-huh.
You know, and it's funny that, you know, so I do speed, you know, so I wouldn't nod out.
Because it would
But then I'd
counteract.
be up for days. So one time the weirdest thing happened to me. I was up for days and I was on heroin, and then I'm doing this back piece.
Yeah.
You know? And the person's family is all right there, you know,
Yeah.
they're watching me, you know, and then all of a sudden I went into a dream state. You know, I was still tattooing, but I don't know what I felt like I was dreaming.
Yeah.
And I put Coyote Sangra
In the tattoo?
in the tattoo. You know,
You actually
I was like,
So this is another myth we hear about where like your artist might tattoo something funny in your tattoo. Freddie actually put his nickname in the tattoo.
and my barrio, you know,
Yeah, in the hood.
Coyote Sangra. And then I was like, oh, shoot. And I look up and the family, they're all talking.
They didn't notice it.
I was like, oh, shoot. And I go, this leg's getting shaded right now.
Yeah.
Because I put it in the leg, you know, like.
Can you imagine how much, like, if we can see,
was like-
I wish there'd be a picture that it'd be like a rookie Ken Griffey Jr. baseball card or something. It'd probably be worth so much money.
I still couldn't figure out what exactly, how could I fall asleep but still be awake?
And awake enough to write your nickname in your hood.
Yeah, and I realized what I did, you know, like all of a sudden, oh, I'm awake. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I just did that? You know, like, what possessed me to even, you know,
Well, you think subconsciously, like I said,
I was gangster.
you were
actually.
gangster. You were gangstering it, dog. You were
Me,
the ultimate bad guy
Coyote.
showed up again.
Yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
But
So tattoo mania, drugs. You're still married, I would
yeah,
assume,
so
right?
we're mainly focusing on the hardship, right? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of good things happen too, like
Yeah.
you know, working on the movies and
Yeah. Blood in, blood out, right? You were one of the first ones to be brought in on that.
yeah, that was my first movie.
Yeah.
But you know, I ended up being partners with Freddy Blau,
Mm-hmm.
and went on to do over 30 some features,
Yeah.
multiple TV shows.
But to touch base real quick, Blood in, blood out, one of my favorite movies of all time. You know what I mean? That's where you actually did the tattoos on the guys to make everything look legitimate, correct?
As best as we could.
Yeah.
That was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a crazy story because, thank I thank Carrie Barba.
Yeah.
I always give her credit for this because she was like probably one of the top tattoo artists at the time
Yeah.
because of what she was doing with her color blends and everything. She was like doing oil paintings on
Yeah.
people's bodies, you know, and that was kind of a new thing, you know.
Yeah.
And so she was very popular with media and all that stuff. So the film director, Taylor Hackford, and he had just finished doing La Bamba.
Yep.
And so he was taking on this project to this Chicano film, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and he went to Carrie Barba and said, you know, I need tattoos designed for these, you know, my prison guys. And
Yeah.
she goes, oh, prison? You got to go see Freddy Negrete, you know, so.
That's awesome.
So then they called me and I was like, yeah. So it was this tattoo convention in Garden Grove,
Mm-hmm.
and I was tattooing Freddie Corbin. And so Taylor and his crew came, and Taylor sat right there
Yeah.
and for 3 hours watched me do a tattoo on Freddie Corbin's leg. And it was the devil, Jesus
Mm-hmm.
stabbing the devil in the head with a cross.
Oh, wow.
His head's blowing up.
Yeah.
And we put the tattoo in the movie too.
Really?
Yeah.
What part of the movie was it in?
It was on
I want to say, was it Magic?
the artist.
Oh, the artist.
Yeah,
Cruz.
Cruz. It was on
Crucito,
Cruz.
yeah.
On his arm right here.
Yeah, that's right.
So when he was in his thing painting it, you could see
In
it.
his little gallery in the backyard in East LA.
Well, no, when he cut the picture out.
Oh, yeah.
He
Okay.
goes, oh, you want him out?
Yeah. Here, have it. Yeah.
So that's when he had that
Okay.
tattoo.
All right.
So, anyways, so they hired me to do the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then so they said, okay, you're gonna hook up with this makeup artist. I don't even say his name, but so I went to that makeup artist's house, and he has a bunch of people, drawing designs. He goes, and he's like, okay, so we need you to draw tattoo designs for this character, that character, and I'm like, okay, so I started, drawing some stuff. And then I found out that half of the artists there he had doing drawings for American Me.
Mm.
And And I was like, oh, and he's going, yeah, I'm doing both movies, you know, so whatever. But anyways, so what he was doing, he went to this guy called Temp 2. And that guy, Temp 2, stole his process from another guy named Freddy Blau.
Oh.
But anyways, so, and what it is they would print, you know, like the tattoo designs on a newsprint, and then with 100% alcohol, stick it
Rub
in
it
the
on,
arm.
yeah.
But they were only geared up to do little tiny tattoos,
Yeah.
you know? And so this guy was having just pencil drawings turned into artwork for print. And I was like, dude, because I had experience, you know, printing,
Yeah.
you know, and pressing. I was like, these aren't going to work, you know, because you have to line screen them.
Yeah.
You're not line screening them. He goes, I don't need it. And I go, you do. Because when you put a line screen on artwork, it breaks it up into little dots.
Yeah.
So this was just like a big blotch,
Okay.
like no smooth shading or anything. I was like, these things ain't going to work.
Yeah.
And so then, so we did a test on one of the actors.
And it worked.
And it didn't
Or
work.
it didn't work.
But I went in there with a brush and
Fine-tuned it?
fix it.
Okay.
You know? And I was going, see, I'm telling you, man, these things ain't going to work.
Yeah.
And he goes, we'll make them work. You know,
Well, it probably would have rubbed off when the actors are doing any type of movement or
well, that
wardrobe.
stuff stays on good.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yeah. It goes on with 100% alcohol and it comes off with 100% alcohol.
Okay.
So, you know, that was his method that he was going to use.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I came up with my own method, which was to use refillable markers, you know, and just mix up the ink, you know, that was like bluish, greenish, you know, and dark, and then just fill the markers up, stick the stencils on, and just draw over it with this marker ink,
Okay.
and then spray fixative to kind of hold it a little bit better.
That's a,
So when we got to San Quentin, you know, to film, the director and the producers wanted to see a tattoo test.
yeah.
And then the makeup artist was like, dude, I have to go work on American Me in Folsom, so I won't be here tomorrow. I was like, dude, what? Do they know? He goes, no, they don't even know.
Yeah.
He's going, can you please make it work? I was like, dude, man, you know what?
Yeah.
You're fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know? And
So he left
I
it all
almost
on
got in
you.
a fight with him.
He left it all on your shoulders.
Well, he left.
Mm-hmm.
So I told the director I wanted to have a meeting with them. So I had a meeting with the producers and the director. And I just want to let you know that Kenny's method of tattooing is not going to work.
Yeah.
And they were like, what? We start filming in 2 days. And,
Yeah.
blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? I'm just letting you know it's not going to work. I warned them. I told them. And I'm just going to let you know that if his method doesn't work, then I have a method that will.
Okay.
And they go, well, we'll see because we're doing the test tomorrow. So they came down to the trailer and all the makeup artists are right there sticking it on and stuff. And they just were smearing it. And they're like, Freddy, you know, and I was like, I'm just a technical advisor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go ahead, do it. You know, and anyways, the director, he went ape shit and he's like, where in the fuck is, you know, the makeup?
And he's on another set with another
I tell him,
movie.
he's in Folsom right now working on American Me. And we had already, you know, the gangsters that they were using for American Me did a drive-by on our set. And they shot the catering guy.
Did they? Oh, yeah, there was a huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. There was a huge scandal with both.
So there was like some heated shit going on between Blood In, Blood Out and American Me. And when the director heard that, he went ballistic. And those producers, those Disney producers, they jumped in the car and went and got him. And then I go, let me show you my plan. And then, you know, I showed the director, I made a stencil, I stuck it on the artist's arm, wiped it down, and then I just went over it with a marker, and it came out great. And so they fired that
and put you
artist and put me in charge of tattoos.
Awesome.
And I stayed on that film for 6 months.
Wow.
You know, just anything they needed, art,
or probably any information about that lifestyle too.
Yeah,
Again,
that too.
Technical advisors are good. Yeah.
But you know, sometimes I would say, yeah, I don't know if you know the big homies would do something like that.
Yeah.
This isn't the big homies. This is La Onda.
Yeah.
So I knew that this movie, Blood In, Blood Out, was more of the Hollywood.
The Hollywood-ish version.
Yes.
Whereas American Me was more technical.
Was more trying to be true to.
Which also technically got that whole cast
Got them in trouble.
Got
Big
them in
trouble.
serious trouble.
Got people killed.
Yeah, there was a lot of terms and statements and like names that were never supposed to be out. Yeah.
You know, like they the main thing they did was they had, you know, a big homie
Yeah.
kind of approve things, and he was
Yeah.
on the set and everything. And then after the movie wrapped, Eddie he did an extra scene,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because you know, there started being bad press
Yeah.
saying, oh, Hollywood is giving us a double barrel of negativism
Yeah.
in the Chicano neighborhood.
Yeah.
And he was going, my movie's a scared straight movie.
Uh-huh.
Taylor Hackford was like, I ain't saying that. I'm making a movie.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he filmed the extra scene where the supposed leader of the Mexican mafia got butt raped in juvenile hall.
Oh wow.
So,
Yikes.
you know,
Yeah.
that got some people hurt. Anyway.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, you know, so we survived the prison.
Mm-hmm.
And then Taylor Hackford told me, Freddy, he's like, hey, when we go back to LA, I'm still keeping you in charge of the tattoos, but there's this other makeup artist that invented the temporary tattoo process.
Okay.
And for that movie Tattoo and the Illustrated Man.
Illustrated Man, yeah. Bradbury. Yeah.
Yeah, so Freddy Blau did that.
Okay.
He goes, I want you to work with them. So Freddy Blau was like, let me show you why these markers don't work and this
Yeah.
and this and that. And he wiped it. And I was like, dude, you're right.
You're right. Yeah.
You have a better system. Let's use it.
Yeah.
And then him and I became partners after that movie.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I went up, you know, and it was so cool. Like we'd be working on one movie, like
Yeah.
Con Air, and then
You worked on Con Air?
yeah,
Awesome.
and then he's like, Freddie, I gotta send you to LA. You're gonna work on this other movie. And I was like, don't send me on a B movie. And he's going,
Yeah.
it's called Austin Powers.
Oh.
And I was like, oh man. You know?
That's right. That's
But
funny.
you know what I mean? Like we did so many movies together, and you know.
So it opened up all these
Blade.
new amazing doors for you in the movie industry.
Yeah. I mean, I wish we had social media back then.
Now, did any
I
of
would
this
have posted
affect?
some badass
Yeah.
pictures.
Although I think MySpace was just coming around back then, wasn't it? Like
No.
not even then. But did any of this affect like your street image? Did you catch any flack or anything like this for working in the movie industry with any of your people or anything
No.
like that? No, it was all cool.
Yeah, it was all cool, and everybody, you know, like it was really good, you know, like because I met Danny Trejo and everybody, and Danny Trejo turned me on to,
Yeah.
you know, his agent,
Yeah.
and I was gonna try to like, you know, get acting jobs,
Yeah.
you know, as a gangster,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and so because Blood In, Blood Out, when they put me in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
they tapped Harley me and gave me a SAG card.
Yeah.
So once you get that SAG card, you can get an agent
Yeah.
and start reading for
See, I
parts
was-
like you're doing.
I
Right?
was just talking to my wife about that. Yeah, I need to get. I'm like 2 signatures short.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got
But
one.
now they
and
have
two.
a better. You know, the best way is if you make some kind of a deal with the director to give you a line.
Yeah, just
So
one line.
You can't. Yeah, you can't act in a movie, or you can't be in the union unless you have lines in a movie. You know, it's like catch.
Okay. Yeah, there's a catch. Yeah,
But you can't be in a movie
without the card.
without the card. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a catch to get it.
Yes.
Yes, and it's
So-
usually like I've done numerous free jobs, Freddie, movies, videos, but they don't want to sign the card. So I'm like constantly trying to sign up for whatever I can. But you're right, to get that card is a pain in the ass.
Yeah. So what you want to try to do is negotiate with them, like,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, I'll do this thing, but all I ask is for one line so you can tap Hartley me,
Okay.
and I can get in the union.
Okay, I'm gonna remember.
You know, and that's what
Yeah.
I did, and then Danny Trejo hooked me up with his, you know, his agent and
Mhm.
stuff, and then I would go read, you know, for movies,
Yeah.
and Danny would always be there too,
No
and
shit.
he would always get the part.
That's
And
awesome.
we're like, Danny got my part.
That dude was like the hardest working man in show business for a
Nah,
long
but
time.
he deserved the parts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then eventually, I didn't even care
Mhm.
because, you know, they're called day players. You know,
Yeah.
like So there's a hierarchy on the movie set.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the bottom is the extras.
Yeah, it's extra.
You know, sometimes you can't even eat, you know, lunch with everybody. They give you sandwiches, you know, like, and then after that is all the crew,
Yeah.
you know, all the workers.
Yep.
And then, the producers, the ADs, the PAs, you know, production assistants, and then the bottom of the totem pole for actors are the day players.
Okay.
And you're like, get the day player, do it. Like you do your little thing and then you're gone. Like I went and I played a dead guy.
Oh, okay, cool.
And or you know, something like that. And then there's the actors where the ones that you seen in other movies but don't know, they're the ones that act like biggest assholes.
Okay.
And then there's the main stars.
The main stars have
and they're like, oh, you know, everybody treats it something. They get mad if you look at them sometimes. So.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are really, really cool.
Yeah.
You know, they know that they made it to the top, and so they treat everybody with respect.
That's cool.
But some of them are real idiots. But you know, anyways, but when I came in as a tattoo artist, they'd be like, the tattoo artist is here.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then I'd put fake tattoos on the directors and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Like Carl Reiner, you know, that's Rob Reiner's father.
Rob Reiner, yeah.
So I worked on a movie called Fatal Instinct.
Fatal Instinct, okay.
No, Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction.
No,
it was Basic Instinct or Fatal Attraction?
So it was a comedy spoof of those two movies.
Oh, okay.
So they connected
like Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Instinct, I think.
Fatal Instinct, okay.
Because it was Fatal Attraction and Basic Instinct.
Yeah, okay. Fatal
Instinct. So it was like a comedy.
Cool.
And he was the director and you know, like it was just cool working with these big time directors, putting tattoos all over.
Now with all this in the movie industry and everything, so you're still dabbling, getting high? You haven't even solved that one yet?
Yeah, I wasn't getting too high back then.
Just chipping?
Yeah, just chipping. I was maintaining my chipping.
I
never went, you know, like
too far.
You know, and then I was using speed now and then too.
Yeah, speed kind of it'll even you out for a little while, but then eventually you're gonna, like I almost went schizophrenic on it. It was horrible.
On speed.
Speed, the methamphetamine the amphetamine, old school bathtub biker speed turned into methamphetamine, which had a whole new chemical breakdown, which over long periods of time turns you schizophrenic. It just
it was making people crazy, right?
Psychotic.
I remember when I had my tattoo shop in Santa Barbara. And I was getting so tired of everybody just tripping out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then one of my guys is outside in the front smoking. And I was like, dude, man, this speed's just getting out of hand. At that time, I was just doing heroin. And he goes, shh, it's the same people walking across the street.
Well, the chemicals changed over the years, you know, so the dope changed. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So what finally broke? Like, I mean, you're still married, correct? Same woman, same marriage?
No, that didn't last.
It didn't last? You feel like talking about that or any like? Because you had a couple kids, right? If you don't mind me speaking.
Yes,
that's cool. Okay.
Let's see. Where would I start with that? I mean, so I have my son Isaiah with my first marriage.
Yeah.
You know, and then so I ended up quitting tattooing for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was strung out bad, and my family was just falling apart. You know, my whole life was falling apart. Yeah. And then, you know, these guys that I was busted with were coming to the shop, and they're hardcore dudes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these guys were killers. And they would come and talk to me about Jesus. And they knew I was strung out.
Yeah.
And like, God could change your life. And da. And I was really bad at the time, strung out really bad.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I went with them to church and, you know, I got saved.
Oh, okay.
You know, and I instantly quit heroin. And then for me, there was a miracle that happened because, you know, I didn't get sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so that was a miracle.
That is a miracle.
I was getting, you know what I mean? Like, I would get sick. And so, you know, so then these guys were like, oh, you got to meet the pastor
Mm-hmm.
and blah, 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 blah. And it was a big church. You're a Victory Outreach.
Oh yeah, Victory Outreach, yeah.
So, and it's all gangsters. The whole church is all,
Yeah, we got the same one in the Valley, North
yeah,
Hollywood.
it's all ex-gangsters,
Yeah.
ex-dope addicts,
Uh-huh.
you know. So then, you know, I went to, you know, the preacher, you know, and then, you know, because all of a sudden I felt like invigorated, and I loved, you know, I had another new focus on tattooing and everything. And then the pastor was telling me, yeah, you know, tattooing's a sin.
Really?
I was like, what? And he goes, yeah. And he showed me like scripture, you know, like,
All about the body being a temple and
yeah,
stuff
the
like
temple.
that.
And then also there's, and I have an answer for these scriptures.
Yeah.
But where it's saying don't print any marks for false gods on your body, or cut yourself for the dead. So then they're going, he's like, if you want to continue with God, you have to quit tattooing.
Wow.
And I was like, oh man, what? You know, like, man, that was a heavy thing that he put on me.
Yeah.
You know, and
Well, it's
then,
also what you do too.
that's all I knew.
Yeah, you're not a construction worker. You're not a telemarketer.
Right.
It's what you do.
That's what I do
Yeah.
for a living.
Uh-huh.
And I got a family.
Yeah.
I have a lot of stuff to make up for, you know, and so, you know, then I quit tattooing. You know, it's funny. So when I quit, Ed Hardy hit the ceiling, you know, it's just like, and I remember I was with this group of people and they were praying for me, this whole thing about quitting tattooing. You know, I didn't want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I was about to like not go with this Christian thing, you know, and
Yeah.
so they wanted to talk to me, and we're in a hotel room and they're praying for me and talking to me. And then all of a sudden someone knocks at the door and they look and they go, some little man with a hat. And I opened the door and it was Ed Hardy. And then we were in Santa Fe Springs in some hotel.
Yeah.
And I was like, Ed, how did you find me? And he was
Yeah.
like, never mind that. Freddy, look at it.
Never mind that. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But he found me
Uh-huh.
and he took me outside. And he gave me that other voice, you know. He's like,
Yeah.
he goes, look, all of us are going through a little thing, you know. He goes, I was doing cocaine,
Uh-huh.
and you know, I was doing it too much, and I had to stop. It's just, you know, a thing that you're realizing, you know. But you don't have to quit tattooing. You don't have to go this route. You know, you're an amazing artist. You got to
Yeah.
stay with it. And then you know, and I thought about it and I go, I'm sorry, Ed. I made this decision.
Yeah.
I had to stick with it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so then, so then when I talked to that pastor again, you know, they were showing him my artwork, you know, like, and he's like, man, you know what? Your art is great. He goes, we need a good artist working for the church because we make tracks and we make posters
Yeah.
and flyers. And he was going, we even have a printing press downstairs. I go, you do?
Ooh.
He goes, yeah, in the basement, but it's broken. I go, well, let me see it, you know?
Yeah.
So I went down there and fixed it. You know what I mean? That was my skill,
Yeah.
working on the offset,
printing, yeah. Mhm.
You know what I mean? So then he's like, you know what? You're on full time. You're working for us full time. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah,
you know, I have a job, you
Yeah.
know, like, you know, so I fixed up that printing room. I started doing artwork,
Yeah.
started printing posters, and they're like, yeah, we had this dinner, they had this event, and I would draw stuff, you know, like, and then like 2 months went by, and I was like, I told the deacons, I was like, dude, you know, the pastor said that I was going to be working full time, you know, like, but I need to get paid, you know,
Yeah.
and I haven't got paid in 2 months, or nobody's even said anything.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, we'll make a meeting. So they made a meeting with the pastor, and then he tells me, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to get you a CETA slot. So what that was back then it was government money that they were giving to churches and community centers in the hood
Okay.
to give kids, you know, troubled youth jobs for the summer.
Okay.
So I knew what a CETA slot was, you know, and like, I was like, oh, all right, you know, like,
But how does that get you paid?
because then the church
Can write it off or something?
for 3 months can pay you.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So I filled out all the papers and stuff like that. And then it turned out that I couldn't qualify for the CETA program because I lived in a good neighborhood with my, you know, mother-in-law.
Oh my God.
So I lived in the wrong neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I went and told him, oh yeah, they didn't qualify. Plus, that's only a 3-month job.
Uh-huh.
You said this is gonna be full time. And he's like, oh yeah, well, okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna give you this address. You know, just put this address down and this and that. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute. Okay, you told me that tattooing is a sin, and I don't see it anywhere, but I
Yeah.
quit tattooing. But now you're telling me to lie?
Yeah.
And I know that lying is one of the 10 commandments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you want me to lie to the government?
Yeah.
You know, like, he goes, don't worry about it. We do this all the time. I go, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
He's going, what? He goes, well, there's no job for you then. And I go, well, I don't care. And I was out of there.
Back to tattooing.
Not yet.
Ooh. Okay.
I thought about it. You know what I mean? Like, so I thought, well, I already made this decision. You know, God has to be leading me somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I saw this thing in this Christian magazine about youth guidance, or by Youth for Christ, where they go into institutions. And I called them, and I went into camp and started talking to the kids. And then I told my story to the director guy there. And he goes, you know what you need? You need to go to college. So he took me down to Azusa Pacific University, and they loved me. You know, it's just like, oh, we got a gangster that's Christian now. You know what I mean? Like, and so for the next 6 years, you know, I went to college, and I got a degree.
You were helping kids.
Yeah, working,
Speaking with the youth, talking about drugs, gangs, all that stuff.
going out on the streets,
Right on.
doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to go. You know, I could go in further
Yeah.
with it, but there came a time, the person that stayed in touch with me the whole time was Jack. And Jack, we'd always get together and share artwork that we were doing, you know, and he was like, man, Freddy, you got to come back to tattooing. You got to come back.
Yeah.
He goes, you're like a legend. You're like this mysterious legend that, you know, quit tattooing and stuff. Anyways, I decided to go back to tattooing.
Jack helps in your ear, that other side of your ear helps convince you to come back.
Yeah.
Right on.
And since then I've learned, you know, the passages about tattooing, I don't see anything wrong with tattooing. You know, maybe if you're tattooing, you know, like, I don't know, for a false god or something like that, that's what it was saying. You know, it's just like,
I think it meant more like branding yourself, you know, because there was a lot of weird stuff back then. People would brand themselves, because I've read these passages too. I went through a phase like that myself.
Yeah,
The Bible twice, backwards and forward. I read the Talmud, the Torah. I read the Kabbalah. I went through this phase where I read it all and trying to understand stuff. And I think it's just misconstrued.
Yeah, you know what the best one is for me?
Yeah.
Is you know what the tefillin is?
No, what is that?
It's like a prayer. You've probably seen it before. It's like a box.
Okay.
That they come the Jews in Beverly Hills. They come to the shop on Friday and do the tefillin with me.
Okay.
You know, but you wrap this leather box.
Oh yeah, I have seen that. Yeah.
And then you do it on your head.
Okay.
And you say a prayer. But inside that box is a prayer. But the passage where the tefillin comes from is God making a promise to his people. And he said, I will print the name of Jerusalem on my hand and my forehead. So there you go, face tattoos.
There you go.
So that you will know that I will never forsake you or leave you.
Wow.
So, and this Hebrew, this Jewish journalist who studies Hebrew was telling me, you know, that word print actually coincides with it's the same word used for when it says don't print any marks on your flesh for false gods. So it's saying, I will print a tattoo on my hand and on my head, the name of Jerusalem. I wonder if it's in Old English. No, probably Hebrew.
Probably Hebrew.
You know, if God has his hand in his forehead tattooed, then
I feel like that's that answer you needed. That's spiritual.
That's heavy, right?
Well, that's divine right there. You were given an answer the best way you could about.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So, anyways, more so, what do you got on that paper?
So family. But we were talking about the family, the marriage.
So
the kids. It's a rough subject, I know.
Yes. So that is a a rough subject,
Yeah.
and I'm willing to
You don't have to if you
talk
don't want
about
to.
it.
Yeah, you don't have to if you don't want
Because in a couple of days here is Boo Boo's birthday,
to. Yeah.
November 4th, and so I always love my kids
Yeah.
more than anything, but
Mm-hmm.
so I ended up divorcing my first wife, and she immediately got married, and so she was cool with me having custody of Isaiah. I was gonna fight
Yeah.
for him. I wanted my son.
Yeah.
I loved him so much, and like even when I had before I started tattooing again, I worked for this company called Gift Creations,
Mhm.
designing souvenir gifts.
Yeah.
When I was in college,
Mm-hmm.
designing souvenir gifts, for and Isaiah used to come with me as a little kid.
Yeah.
And he had his own little drawing table.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we lived in San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
So I always had him with me,
Mm-hmm.
and he would go visit his mom. But anyways, I kept him.
Yeah.
And then I had another relationship, and then she had, 2 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and that are wonderful. They're my kids.
Yeah.
I love them. And then we had another son together,
Mm-hmm.
Lorenzo. So we'll go with Lorenzo. That was my baby.
Yeah.
Right. And he kind of passed first, but
Man.
his mom fought harder for him.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So she didn't give this one up to you as easy.
No.
Okay.
And then I started, because her thing was she wanted to force him to be good, and he started getting in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
He lived in Grover Beach, and then me and Isaiah lived together in Hollywood,
Okay.
and we tattooed at Tattoo Mania,
Mm-hmm.
so
So he followed in your footsteps.
yes, I'll get to that.
Okay.
But so she kept sending Lorenzo to juvenile hall,
Wow.
and then they didnn want him in there, so
Mm-hmm.
he's in there for nothing, She just
Yeah.
gets mad at him and puts him in juvenile hall. So I went to court. I took her to court
Mm-hmm.
in a custody battle, and I won. I won
Amazing.
custody of my son.
Which is not that often back then in times of stuff like
No.
that. Usually you don't see that.
But they, some of the staff from juvenile hall and the probation
Yeah.
department, they kind of testified against her.
Okay.
And they were like, what he needs is to go with his father.
Mm-hmm.
And he has, I showed him my apartment, and, I had a good job.
Stable place
money,
to live, good home.
all this stuff, so we were so happy to have, Lorenzo come and live with us, me
Yeah.
and Boo Boo. So I had my sons, and I loved them so
Mhm.
much. And Lorenzo, he started rapping.
Oh,
And
really?
this girl that lived by there had studio equipment, and so
That's
he was
awesome.
rapping.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I was rapping at that time too, recording, and Boo Boo was rapping on my stuff. So,
No shit.
yeah, and so it was good to have
Yeah.
Lorenzo start, on his own
Uh-huh.
little, album, so he can get better
Yeah.
and stuff. So, but the thing is, he, his cousins and everybody and other kids, from the neighborhood
Mm-hmm.
would come and pick him up, and he started going to the hood, same hood as mine.
Same
So-
hood?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
because so many people are related.
Yeah.
So, there's my generation, and then our kids,
Yeah.
and then all those kids,
Uh-huh.
they would be from the hood,
Yeah.
and that's what Lorenzo was kind of like following my footsteps,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he would just disappear, wouldn't even tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, now I'm turning like a strict parent. I'm like, Lorenzo, you got to keep going to school. There's no reason to go over there. I could see sometimes we'll go together.
Yeah.
We'll go over there and hang out at the park, or
Yeah.
have picnics, with different families. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I would beg him not to go. You know what I mean? And then I started hearing things that he was gangsterizing.
Yeah.
And,
Like seriously getting involved?
yes.
Damn.
And and then he ended up getting shot and murdered,
I'm sorry.
in the street.
Yeah.
And I fought for him to come and live with me.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't a good enough parent to keep him with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was trying to follow in my footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt like it was my fault.
Yeah.
It was all my fault. Everything, you know. Those types of things that happen in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
there's a special way that you have to deal with it because you'll never get over it. You know what I mean? Like,
I can't imagine how that is. You know, I had another
son was dead.
Yeah, I don't know
because
how you
of
would
me.
get through that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And his mom looked at it that way. And, you know, and so at that time, I had a friend, you know, he used to work for me in Santa Barbara when I had my shop, but he was a construction guy and
Yeah.
he had a bunch of money and stuff like that. And he would come down and we get high together. I started getting high again, you know, of course.
Okay.
And he's like, dude, we're gonna, he goes, because he would build tattoo shops and then sell them to tattoo artists.
Okay.
He goes, dude, I'm going to build you a tattoo shop. You need to get out of tattoo mania. You need to have your own tattoo shop so you can focus on this and this. And he came down, he rented an apartment, but that was not his intention. His intention was to get away from his life and his wife and just plunge himself into drug addiction.
Wow.
And you ever see that movie of those two doctors, the twins? What was the name of that movie? It was a crazy drug movie where they just ended up, you know, like, oh, it's 3 o'clock. It's time to take this dose and that dose.
I think I remember hearing about it. Yeah. I think I
It's a
can picture
crazy
it.
drug movie, but
They just went crazy. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
we became like that.
Really? Both of you together?
Yes.
Like a dynamic duo?
Yes.
Man.
And I didn't have to worry, you know, I would go down and work, and poor Isaiah was like, Dad, trying to get me out of this crazy cycle, and he worked hard and paid the
How did the other brother passing affect him? Was it hard on him?
yeah,
before?
very hard on him.
Very hard, yeah.
Yeah. And I think me sinking so low gave Isaiah some strength.
Okay.
You know
for
what I
him to-
mean?
Yeah, take control.
Because now it's like, I got to pick my dad up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but we both took it
Hard.
really, really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, when we went to the hospital and, you know, but he was already brain dead and everything. And Isaiah had a seizure.
No way.
Yeah, like a bad seizure. It just, man, that was you know, that was a bad time in my
I
life.
can only imagine. I'm
And,
so sorry.
And I plunged deep into drug addiction.
Yeah.
You know, and then I started having health issues. You know, I couldn't breathe good. You know, and all of a sudden, you know, when I did finally go to the doctor, they said, you know, I had an enlarged heart. You know, it was on the paper, drug-induced heart failure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, no, drug-induced congestive heart failure.
Okay. All right.
So it's something that usually real big people get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, like,
Or probably an excess of drug use as well.
so all the drugs were just putting so much strain on my heart
Yeah.
that it started working hard and then enlarging. And the bigger your heart gets, the less effective it is as a
As an organ.
as a pump.
As a pump. Okay.
You know what I mean? So, anyways, and then I started getting busted,
Okay.
and then you know how they had the Prop 36.
Yeah. Get arrested. Get out for rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get
And then nobody goes to rehab. Yeah.
you get on Prop 36, and they let you out, and you get 3 chances.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that judge, you know, only gave me 2 chances. And, you know, I remember, you know, I was saying, yeah, Your Honor, I'm trying to deal with, you know, the death of my son. And she goes, I'm not going to let you use your son's death as an excuse.
Damn.
She goes, look at you. You're not even probation material. Because I had braids, piercings. And
Yeah.
she goes, no, you go. You do the 2 years right now.
Damn.
So that's when I went back to prison.
Holy shit. That was when you were 50?
Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute. My car's in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And
She's like, oh, well, huh?
I got clothes in the laundry.
Yeah.
You know, I thought we get 3 chances. You don't get 3 chances. You know, so
Wow.
so yeah, I went back to prison, and I still hadn't learned, to deal with the guilt.
Yeah.
I remember, like I would wake up in the morning just bawling, just hating myself. And then as soon as I did some heroin, then
it's all good.
I didn't care.
Yeah.
Because heroin gives you an attitude like you don't care.
Well, you don't feel nothing. You're able to numb it. You numb it and just nothing
So
matters.
I had to be high. Otherwise, I would just break down
Yeah.
from how I lost my son and how it was my fault. You know what I mean? So anyways, I went to prison, and then
Boo held down the apartment?
so no, Boo Boo, he kind of hit rock bottom too.
Really?
And he ended up losing the apartment and then losing the job at Tattoo Mania, and he went back to the neighborhood.
Okay.
And he was sleeping in people's garages and tattooing out of garages. You know what I mean? Like, and his tattooing like really suffered.
Started to suffer, yeah.
So when I got out, I went straight to the hood and picked up Isaiah. And I go, "Come on, Isaiah, let's go." He was like, "No, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
We're not, there's nothing for us here." And all I had was the $200 that they give you getting in prison. There's nothing for us here, Isaiah. We belong in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And we're going back to Hollywood. And he refused. And I remember I was like crying that night. And I lost my son, and Isaiah's lost in, the speed and just in the neighborhood stuff, And then the next morning he goes, "Dad, you're right. We belong in Hollywood. Let's go."
That's right.
And I got a job. I got a motel room, and I went to Mark Mahoney.
Okay.
And I was like, he was happy to see I got out and everything. And I was like, "Dude, I have my clientele. They're all sheriffs.
Yeah.
I tattoo sheriffs for years."
That's awesome.
And then I go, "I have my clientele, but can I do them here?" And he's like, yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? So I started doing my clientele. And then Boo Boo would come with me, and I was like, "Just help around the shop." He would clean and do this and this and that. And then some of his old customers from Tattoo Mania came. And then, I was like, "Mark, is it okay if Isaiah does his clients there?" And he's like, "Yeah, for sure." And then, somebody left and he needed a full-time tattooer, and he gave Isaiah the job.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So, and I will love Mark forever for that.
Yeah.
Because when I really needed something, I mean, I spent, $100 on the hotel room. I mean, I had $100 to my name.
Yeah.
Less than that, because I went by a store and saw Ed Hardy, and I was like,
shit.
on Melrose, and I was like, "Dude, Ed Hardy has a shop.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll give me a job, And then I went in there, and all these clothes and everything. I was like, "What's going on? What is this?" And then I remember I was like, "Where's Ed Hardy?" This lady goes, "He was here just this weekend for a photo shoot."
Yeah.
He's a little old man,
Yeah.
Anyways, I didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
It wasn't a tattoo shop.
It was his merchandise.
Yeah. And I spent $30 on a hat. Which was kind
I remember the colognes. He had like matching sets of colognes.
Everything, Anyways, Doug Hardy works for us now. His son.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I'm forever thankful for Mark for, not just letting me come and do my appointments there and reestablish my life, but he also gave Boo Boo a job.
Okay.
And for the next 18 years, we worked there, together. But even though I went working with Mark and everything, I was still
chipping
me. And I got strung out fast.
We know what they say. We bring ourselves with us everywhere we go.
Wherever you go, there
you are.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing is that Mark didn't sweat me, about it. He must have known.
Yeah.
I think everybody else knew. But I would be an hour and a half late for my appointments. Not even care. I didn't care. Nothing.
Yeah.
Now I'll go crazy if I'm 5 minutes late. I'm early for everything.
Now you're early for everything, yeah.
So then I started using again, and then I was feeling that sickness came back.
Yeah.
Because when I went to prison, they put me on meds.
Yeah.
And then I
Transition.
got a little bit better, you know, when I got out, I just stopped taking the meds, and I still felt okay. But when I started using again, I started feeling sick again. You know what I mean? And and then I was really feeling sick because I remember, you know, this guy that I tattooed. He was an ambulance driver, and we came to the house. He came to the house. Boo Boo called him because I couldn't breathe right, and he talked me into going to the, you know, the hospital, and you know, they gave me Lasix because I was all swollen and all that stuff. But anyways, as soon as I got out, I stopped taking those drugs because the pills, because all I cared about was using. You know what I mean? And then like clockwork, I got busted again.
No.
And now I'm on parole. You know what I mean? And I went to the county jail, and the combination of the withdrawals and the fact that I was sick again with my heart just nearly killed me, like really bad.
There's nothing worse than going through withdrawals or kicking in the county jail.
Yeah, that's the worst.
I kicked, when I got off heroin, I used to do heroin just to keep me. I would do speed meth so long that I would go crazy, and I would have to do heroin to calm my ass down, to relax.
Yeah.
And when I went to county jail one time, I'll never forget being strung out on both. I had a horrible kick from meth, but that heroin was about the 5 or 6 worst days of my life. People hated me. People couldn't be around me. It's uncomfortable in the county jail. Horrible. Yeah.
So I'm in process. Can you imagine being in process?
Oh my God, those rooms with
just a little room
to
with
a tiny room
like this.
Oh my!
And then all of a sudden I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
But they had called the sheriffs and told them Freddy's in there.
Yeah.
You know? So I couldn't breathe. So I went down on the floor.
Yeah.
And I was breathing the air from underneath the door.
Oh yeah, because because the ventilation's they keep it cold. They keep the air conditioning going.
But I
so it rolls
like,
under. Yeah.
You know, like. And I was breathing, and all of a sudden a cop opened it and said, "What the fuck are you doing?" You know?
Yeah.
And I couldn't breathe, and he picked me up, grabbed me by the neck.
Yeah.
And he goes, "You want to be a fucking asshole?" Da, da, da.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden these 3 cops come, "Hey, let go of him." And they're, "Freddie, come on, let's go." And the cops were like, "What's going on here?" You know?
That's when cops were aggressive. I remember those days.
Yeah, they kick your ass.
Well, they'll kick your ass, and there's no.
I was about to get an ass beating right there just for that. So, anyways, so they laced me up right away.
Yeah.
You know, they rushed me through the processing.
Yeah.
And they put me in the paisa dorm. You know,
that's awesome.
Because they have all the paisas doing all the work in there.
Yeah, they're all the workers, the trustees.
They have the gangsters, the whites and the Mexicans, or blacks doing the work.
Yeah.
Then they'll be smuggling and stealing and selling dope and all this shit. But the paisas, they took their job serious.
Yeah.
You know, just like, this is our job.
Yeah, no, they took it real serious. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so then I started getting like really, really sick. I couldn't breathe, dude. I was just, that's the biggest breath that I could take.
Wow.
I couldn't lay back or, you know,
there's like a lot of pressure.
I couldn't breathe. If I laid back, I had to stay propped up. And there was no way. I told those cops, don't put me in the hospital.
Yeah.
Because it sucks in the hospital ward. But when they took me to the doctor, the doctor was like, wow. He goes, I don't see how you can go any further without a heart transplant.
No way.
Yeah. And so then a few days later, I had a heart attack. And, you know, they rushed me to the hospital.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in the ambulance and they're giving me that nitroglycerin, trying to find a vein to hook me up with the IVs and all this. And I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They put me on a bunch of meds, you know, but still I could barely walk. You know, I could only take a few steps and I had to stop. I couldn't breathe. You know what I mean? And they never told me anything, you know. I want to know what's wrong with what's going on. And they never told me nothing, you know.
So they never said it was that the heart swelling, like you said, where it couldn't pump right?
Yeah, eventually they told me.
Oh, eventually, okay.
Okay, but so then I went back to, you know, the county jail, and a couple of days later I had another heart attack.
Oh my God.
And so they took me to the same thing, hospital. You know, I was there for about a week and a half that time. And then you know, like they put me on some new meds. And they're saying, maybe this is, you know, going to work for you. He's doing better. Let's send him back to the county jail in a wheelchair. So now I was in a wheelchair.
You in the Browns? Were you in the Brown jumpsuits? Yeah.
But the cops went and got me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And took me back upstairs.
Okay.
Because that way they could they were feeding me You know, there's cops that'll say, yeah, we nursed Negrete back to health.
Yeah, they brought you ODR, the officer's dining room.
No, they
food.
brought food from the streets.
No shit, right on.
Yeah, Kung Fu Panda and all that shit.
Damn.
So they were like, you know, and I remember at the time I was convinced that I was gonna die. I remember talking to Boo Boo on the phone. It's like, yeah, I'm okay. He's like, I'm gonna go visit you. And I'm like, no, don't visit me, because I was all skinny.
Yeah.
And then I looked gray, like my flesh looked gray.
Yeah.
Like I was death. And I was 100% convinced that I was gonna die in there. I was not gonna make it. And then, so I remember at the time, I was like, you know what? All I could do is pray, you know? And I remember a story of this king in the Bible. You know, the prophet went to him and told him, you know, get your affairs straight, because you're going to die.
Yeah.
Your time is up. You're going to die.
Okay.
And that king, he said, you know what? I'm going to talk to God myself. And instead of going through the prophet, the king went to a silent place and called on God. And God gave him 15 more years.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
it's like
I remember
similar,
that story, and I was like, you know, I got to pray. And I remember I needed to go up these two little flights to the second floor, you know, where the showers are.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, one step at a time.
yeah.
And I made it up there, and I said, God, you know, I'm not going to make any promises to you, because every promise I've ever made, I've failed.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to ask you, please, just give me a little more time, so that I won't die in this wretched county jail, so that I could still be an example to my living son.
Yeah.
Please don't let me die a failure like this. You know what I mean? And then the next morning, I had a heart attack.
A third one?
A third one.
Holy shit.
And then the same thing I remember, but after I prayed, I was convinced of two things. I was convinced that I was going to live, and I was convinced that I would never use drugs ever again.
And you had an epiphany. What's it called?
An epiphany.
An epiphany, or like that moment of
clarity.
Yep, moment of clarity.
You know what I mean? Like, and they say, never say that you'll never use again. You know, that's a scary. But I knew that in my heart.
Yeah.
And then the next morning when I got that heart attack, and they're taking me back to the hospital, and the ambulance driver, that's the third time he's seen me going to the hospital. Yeah. And he goes, you got a real reason. Don't ever, you know, because people fake stuff to go to the hospital. He goes, you got a real reason to go. And I go, you know what? When I get out, I want you to go to Shamrock Tattoo. I'm going to give you a free tattoo. He goes, you bet, buddy, you bet. Because I'm sure he looked at me and said, you're not going to make it out of here. You know, so anyways, that time I was in the hospital for almost 4 weeks. They put my case, you know, like.
Kept putting it off, yeah.
They kept putting it off.
Put it back, yeah.
And then they put me on, you know, all these drugs, and then I started getting better, right? And then, you know, the doctor was saying, okay, we're going to send you back to the jail. You're doing better.
Yeah.
I think these drugs we're giving you are working, you know? So then I went back to the jail. All of a sudden I could lay back and sleep, you know? And all of a sudden my health was coming back.
Yeah.
And I was getting better, you know? And I started playing basketball. I was going to the roof doing push-ups.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And every Tuesday they take me to the hospital. And then they check on me. And each time they'd say, wow, you're doing really, really good. So then the third Tuesday or whatever, I was over there. And I was telling the doctor, yeah, when I was doing push-ups. And he's going, you do push-ups? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, let me see you do a push-up. And he goes, no. He goes, how many push-ups do you do? And I go, I started with 1.
Yeah.
And I made it to 5. And right now I'm doing about 15. He goes, let me see you do a push-up. So I went down there and did a couple of push-ups.
That's right.
He goes, you know what? I'm going to have you come back for all the tests again. Yeah. The echogram, the shot they give you to you know, to check your heart, and the sonogram, all that stuff. So I went back for all that stuff. And then the following week I went back, and there's a group of doctors right there. Yeah. You know, and then each one took turns listening to my heart, and then they'd talk in their jargon, you know, whatever. Yeah. And then they left, and the main doctor was like, yeah, you know, you had to excuse us. A lot of us have heard of people's hearts, you know,
rejuvenating, recovering. Yeah.
You go, we've heard of that. You know, it's not impossible, but most of us never seen it. And he goes, let me show you. Now he's going to show me.
Yeah.
He goes, your heart was so enlarged, it was out of the cavity. He goes, and
Whoa.
he showed me my EKG.
Yeah.
He goes, it was beating like this. And he goes, your lungs were in failure, and so is your liver, because your heart was not pumping the oxygen needed for your organs to
survive.
survive.
Wow.
He goes, and your heart was beating at under 10%. That's as low as it goes.
Wow.
He goes, your heart has shrunk down and it's now beating at 30%. And 30 to 70% is normal.
Jesus. Wow.
And I was like, you know what? I think God healed me.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, well, I think your body healed you.
Yeah. Because doctors don't like that conversation.
No,
No.
they don't want to hear that. And
Yeah.
I was like, God healed me. You know what I mean? And yeah, there's a lot of people, when I tell this story, people don't believe me or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. You know, it's all on paper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I knew
Mm-hmm.
that that miracle that happened. And not only that, when I got better, they had me painting all these murals in the county jail.
Awesome.
And then, you know, they were going to send me back because they caught me red-handed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I kept pushing it off and pushing it off. And now it was time to pay the piper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the public defender I had said, just they're going to give you 10 months. Just take it.
Yeah.
And I go, no, I don't want to take it. I want to go to rehab.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I belong in rehab, you know? And the sergeant that had me paint the murals introduced me to the captain, and the captain had me do a special mural for him, you know, Archangel Michael.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he also had me paint these box cars,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for kids. I pinstriped them, put the kids' names on them and stuff. So I told my lawyer, I was like, what if I get a letter from, you know, the sergeant? And they go, they don't do that. They never write letters for inmates. And I go, well, just give me 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so he put it off for 2 weeks. And then I went to the sergeant and I told the sergeant, hey, do you think that, you know, you could write a letter for me? She goes, I can't do that. I go, what about Captain Holcomb? She goes, he's not even a captain anymore. He's a commander of all the jails.
Oh.
You know, and I was like, oh, shoot. Do you think you could ask him? She goes, you know, I'll ask him for you.
Yeah.
So anyways, when I went back to court, the public defender goes, whoa, I don't know what you did, but that judge said, where's that file? Took your file, put it to the side and said, this guy's going to rehab.
Shut up. Right on. Awesome.
That's a juice card.
That's a juice card. Yeah. Right on. Yeah.
And yeah, everybody asks about juice cards. I got some heavy juice cards I could tell you about.
Yeah.
But you know, so then
You left to go to rehab?
I went to Beit Yeshuva.
And you know what's funny? I have a personal thing here for you. You were in there with one of my best friends I grew up with, Philip. Big Phil
really?
Hirsch.
Oh yeah.
That's my brother.
That's
That's like my mentor on the streets.
Oh shoot.
That's our
He's
shot
a
caller.
badass.
Yeah, that's our shot
Did he
caller.
come down from the feds? I think he came.
No, he came from state. He
Oh,
came
okay.
from state, but yeah, I think he was your roommate or your neighbor or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, he's a friend of mine.
Talks about you all the time, yeah.
So yeah, so when I went there, you know, I was like, you know, again, like I said, I was 100% convinced
Yeah.
that I was gonna, you know,
Stay
change.
sober and change,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's a Jewish rehab, and
Yeah.
I
Very good.
qualified to go in there right away because my mom's Jewish, you know. So, but I said, you know what, I'm just gonna do this program,
Yeah.
you know, and it's a 12-step program,
12-step, yeah.
and they use Judaism, you know, kind of like the ethics and
Yeah.
stuff like that. You know, you have to accept that part.
Yes.
But it's funny when I got there, you know, like I'm gonna do this program, and the head therapist there is a friend of Mark's. He's all tattooed. His name's Andrew Wasser, and he's the one that helped me get in there.
And this place is in it's in West Hollywood or
It's
Hollywood?
in Culver City.
Culver City. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So then he goes, yeah, come on, I'm gonna take you to meet the rabbi, and I just got out,
Yeah.
and then I went. The rabbi looks at me, he goes, what the hell are you supposed to be? Some kind of a gangster? Get your hands out of your pockets. Look at this. No, we're not going to have this here. He goes, you know what? I'm going to tell you how we're going to change you. We're going to change you from the outside in.
No.
And
Yeah.
I was like, you know, right away, normally I would have said, you know what, man,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like the way he came at me like that, you know.
Yeah.
He sent me to the thrift store. They own a thrift store. And he made me dress up in a dress shirt and a tie
No
and
way.
flats.
Wow.
He like humiliated me. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this program.
Well, you were probably at that point like I was. You were ready to, I was ready to clean your toilet 3 times a day if that's what you wanted.
You know, they always tell you, what are you willing to do?
What are you willing to do? And I knew that when my moment came, Freddie, if you said pick up the shit all day, I was ready with a shovel. I was at that moment where we, like you were,
Yeah.
I don't care. You want me to wear a pink suit? Whatever, just not to go back here. Please don't send me back over here. Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And then I learned how to deal with him. He ended up being my spiritual friend. Andrew Wasser, he goes, dude, I saw you. He goes, it's funny. You're like a cartoon. He goes, you're peeking around the corners. And when you see the rabbi, you're like, exit, stage left.
Yeah. You learn how to deal with it. Yeah. Yeah.
So he never would see me because I would always hide from him.
Right on.
But anyways, you know, so I did that program.
Yeah.
You know, and I got clean and sober.
Yeah.
And I went back to, you know, work at Shamrock.
Yeah. Boo was still tattooing there?
Yeah, he was there the whole time.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, and things were really looking good. You know,
Yeah.
it's funny because, you know, I had lost sight of my art and what I was doing. I mean, I know that, you know, I helped, you know, introduce a new style to tattooing and this and that, but
Pioneered it. Yeah.
yeah, pioneered it and all this. But, you know, when I got at my worst, you know, in my addiction,
Yeah.
I didn't care about tattooing. I only care about getting money. You know what I mean? And how I could get the tattoo done fastest with the least amount of shading. You know what I mean? Like, so all of a sudden I had this new focus, you know, on my art and tattooing. And that's when I met Jeremy and everybody, because I remember I was still in rehab when they were like, hey, you know, let's go to this tattoo convention, Body Art Expo.
Oh my
you know?
God, the Body Art Expo, yeah.
So I was like, yeah, let's go, you know? And I remember when I first met Jeremy and Ryan, and they're like, dude, you're Freddy Negrete. And I was like, wow, you know, they go, we need you. They go, we want you to design something. Yeah. We were working with all these artists. And, you know, like, he gave me a shirt, you know, like, and then I started meeting, you know, some of the other artists there, Tommy Montoya, Franco, Vescovi, and, you know, just all these guys, Nico Hurtado, Carlos Torres, they all worked that show. And all of a sudden I'm seeing all these guys doing, you know, just amazing, unbelievable work. And I was like, whoa, I fell behind, didn't I? You know what I mean? And so I immediately focused on my work. And then Jeremy and Ryan became such good friends. But what they did, what people don't even realize, what they did for the tattoo world at that time, that generation of artists, was they connected everybody. And everybody wanted to design for Sullen. But like, you know, every new great artist coming up would go to Sullen. And Jeremy, dude, you got to see this guy's work. And to this day, you know what I mean? And you know, and I connected, and all of a sudden I felt a part of my field.
All the pieces were falling into place.
Yes. Like this has always been my home. But I feel like thanks to Jeremy and Ryan and Sullen, you know, and them connected, people didn't know who I was, you know, and be like, dude, this is Freddy Negrete, blah, 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 blah. He did this and that. You know what I mean? They knew all the history and, you know, so it was a beautiful time for me. All of a sudden my work started looking better. I started realizing that I had more potential than I even realized it. And that's why here I was like an old guy. People were saying, you know, like, wow, it's funny, you know, like most of the old guys kind of stick with what they were always doing, you know, like they don't like seeing anything new. But me, on the other hand, I was like, what's new? How are they getting stencils like that? What are they doing with
You're
this?
adapting and
Rotary.
learning,
Let's try a rotary. You know? Because I was willing to grow and learn. And for one reason only, to improve my work so that I could do work that I was proud of.
Amen.
And then Isaiah, he went through the same thing as me. We both, after Renzo died, we both hit rock bottom, but now at Shamrock, we're coming up, and Isaiah found his little niche, something weird happened in Hollywood where there was a new style born out of Shamrock, and that was fine line little tattoos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With Boo Boo and Dr. Wu and Max and all those, all those guys doing these little fine line tattoos.
Yeah.
And people in Hollywood were
went nuts for it, eating it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Girls,
all these celebrities and, like Boo Boo all of a sudden was tattooing nothing but movie stars and Selena Gomez. They just want little fine line tattoos. And, and Sullen and Jeremy helped Boo Boo so much.
Yeah.
With his career.
That's
and
right.
what he was doing. So, when I was at Beit Teshuva, I came to grips with a lot of things. Like, and I had to deal with, I had to learn to deal with the death of my son. Yeah. And yes, maybe I could have done things differently or better, but I didn't. And that was the outcome. And I will forever live with that.
Yeah.
But how am I going to live my life from here on in?
Yeah.
What is going to be my future? And am I going to just throw my life away in despair and self, loathing?
Yeah,
and
pity
guilt?
and guilt.
Or am I going to pick myself up to live my life in a way that would make my son proud?
Yeah.
If he were to look down and look down upon me, and a lot of people say he is, what can I do to make him proud and to be an example for Isaiah, Because, and that's how I live my life to this day. But, when, Isaiah started, partying a lot. Yeah. It's Hollywood.
It's Hollywood, yeah.
But one thing he never did, he never, got a drug habit and, would, like hooked on heroin or anything like that. He would never use a needle or nothing, but it was party drugs. You know what I mean? Mostly cocaine. Yeah. And sometimes speed, I know he didn't like the speed because he didn't like staying up for days and then sleeping for days. And the cocaine was, more of something that he would do for a couple of days and then stop, But it made me constantly worried, because my son Lorenzo passed away. I have my firstborn son. I'm like, I got to protect him.
You're holding on like,
what I mean? Like,
anchor.
What if something happens to my other son? I wouldn't be able to bear that. Yeah. I need to protect him. And I did everything that I could, to keep him with me at shows. And, you know what I mean? Like, I may have been overbearing to him, and, when he'd use, it would make me crazy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it got to a point where he wouldn't use and party. He would use and then lock himself in his room.
That's how I was, an isolated drug user.
Yeah. So
now, did that put your sobriety in danger, or were you still holding it?
It never put my sobriety in danger because I knew that the only way that I could get Boo Boo out of this was through the program. Okay. And then he would never quite, listen to me, but then he listened to these other youngsters, and they're all like 91210ers, like Brent Shapiro, Shapiro's son, and Shifty, and
Shifty was my homeboy,
so all these guys from Beverly Hills that used, but would go to the program, go to the program. Yeah. So Isaiah started going to the program like that, and it, that made me feel good. Yeah. But I still would trip out, especially when I knew he was in his room, and I was like, man. And I did everything, like. It's funny. I don't know. But so one time he was in his room, and he wouldn't answer. You know, I tried calling him, but I knew he was in his room. And then I went to do something, and I got home, and then, you know, he hated if I knocked and bugged him. You know, but
Yeah.
I was like, Isaiah, and I'm knocking on the door, and the door was locked. And I was like, what the hell? And I got the ice. Opened the door, and he was dead on the floor.
No.
And oh my God, you know, I just got a weird, you know, like I thought I was gonna die because I got icy cold.
Yeah.
And you know, I thought, oh man, that one really got me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it was, you know, accidental overdose. And it was cocaine laced with fentanyl.
Wow.
And look how many people that, you know, he hadn't used for weeks. And then whatever it was that got him, he decided to get high.
Yeah.
And he lost his life, you know.
And that stuff is super dangerous today. Wow. I'm so sorry.
So again, you know, I mean, I thought I was just, you know, gonna die. You know, like I didn't know what to do with myself. You know, I couldn't work.
Yeah.
You know, I thank God, you know, for my daughter.
Yeah.
And my grandson. She was there for me, Elizabeth. Everybody in the tattoo scene knows her.
Yeah.
You know, she's a wonderful girl, but, you know, her two brothers died. So she was going through it. And then, you know, and then Deja, who, you know, is my girl.
Yeah.
And I love very much, so much. And, you know, we were on and off in our relationship.
Yeah.
But when she knew this happened, it was like God called her to be with me. So they came and took care of me.
Right on.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
It took a while.
Yeah.
I couldn't, you know, leave my house and just, you know, crying every day. And we had a great funeral for him, you know, and I just I felt the same way, you know, like when Isaiah was growing up, you know, I used to smoke weed with him, you know. I didn't really care. He knew I was getting high and or, you know, high on drugs and everything. And I felt like I wasn't a best example for him, you know.
Yeah.
I tried in the years before he passed, you know, to get him in the program and everything, you know, but again, you know, so I lost both my sons, and I always felt like it's kind of my fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, you always have to live with that. You know, there's things in your life, choices that you make or things that you do, you know, that are going to stay with you forever. But you can't let those things destroy you.
Yeah.
You just have to keep moving. And then right after that, you know, my sister passed away, and me and my sister were so...
Yeah. The one that went through the foster system with you? Oh, wow.
Yeah. You know, so... you know, so there was a lot of loss.
Yeah.
And lately there's, you know, my best friend, Jack Rudy.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so many people that we've lost.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me a picture, you know, of us all in New Mexico, and we're all like this. And then, you know, Jack's in the picture. And, you know, Bale's in the picture. And Rick Walters in the picture.
Yeah.
There was like 4 or 5 tattooers that have just recently died that were all in that picture. So anyways, so I've just been learning to continue living my life.
Yeah.
And I have my daughter and my grandsons. I have a new grandson.
Right on. Congratulations.
His name's mixed. Lorenzo and Isaiah mixed together. His name's
Right.
Renzea.
Renzea, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's amazing. He's going to be 5 soon, you know. And then my other grandson, Boo Boo's son. I have my Renzea's older brother, Vincent. And then Isaiah's son. At first I was kind of like, you know, after, Boo Boo passed and everything, it's like, I got to try to, you know, be there for my grandson.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But he didn't have the same, art ability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't think, I didn't want to, everybody was like, are you going to learn to tattoo? Are you going to have your grandpa teach you to tattoo?
Yeah.
But, it just wasn't for him,
Yeah.
I still, even when I said, I'll teach you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But I don't want to teach you something unless you're going to be good at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because these days you have to be good if you're going
You got to dedicate
to make a
to it.
living
Yeah.
at it, and then, but it turned out more where he just wanted money,
Mm-hmm.
but I just always give him money.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I try to get him to go to, college,
Yeah.
and then, Boo Boo was such a good writer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He wrote all our lyrics for our album and stuff.
That's awesome.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my second album, he wrote mostly all the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
He was really good. And I used to, tell my grandson, you should try rapping. You should try writing.
It's in your blood. Yeah.
And that's funny. That's what he's doing now.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
He's right. And then he's in with all these young rappers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, they love him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, where are you getting these lyrics? Like AI or something? Because like he has badass lyrics and he has a great flow.
Yeah.
So
It's his dad living through him.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I'm there trying to support him on that.
Right on.
And he works too, so
Awesome.
he's not always wanting money.
That's good.
He's a good kid. I love him.
Well, look, tell me about this book. I remember recently I was at a bookstore and I was thinking about your book. It's right down the street from you. I randomly went in there, and then you've got a couple books out right now, don't you?
I got a coloring book.
Coloring book, yeah.
And then I got a book, like an art book with Johnny Quintana. It's also called Smile Now, Cry Later.
Yeah,
And then I have my biography.
that's right.
So that was something, like
Yeah,
when I was going through that good period, of getting back into tattooing and all this, like I felt like I wanted to tell my story.
yeah.
I felt like I had a couple of avenues to go, like,
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing being in the system as a foster kid
Yeah,
and going through the abuse that we went through.
yeah,
And then, gangs. Everybody's interested in Chicano
yeah. That's always an interesting
gang
topic. Yeah.
lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and the art and, just the dress and the cars. And, that's an interesting subject.
Yeah,
And I was at the forefront of all that,
yeah.
so I felt like I had that story to tell. And then the prison stuff, even though I didn't once say anything about prison politics or
Yeah.
anything like that,
Yeah.
I still could talk about prison life,
Yeah,
how I learned to tattoo, and also the tattoo thing. you know.
Yeah.
So I felt like I had some stories to tell
yeah.
as I've been sitting here just
Yeah.
yapping away.
No, I mean, I've been in rap the whole time. I'm loving it. Yeah,
But, so I was like, I need to write a book.
yeah,
And and the book does well. In fact, next month I go, once or twice a year I go to UCLA. There are some classes that use my book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
and then, it's one thing,
Yeah.
to use a book for a class, and the kids all love the book,
But then to have you there also to
but
help.
to have the author come
Yeah,
and talk to them,
Yeah.
it's just like, and then all kinds of people that aren't even in the class. We fill up a whole auditorium,
that's dope. Yeah,
So, it's good that the end, the end of the book wasn't as climatic as, the first part of the book.
mm-hmm.
I think, I don't know if it just kind of ends with me being in the program.
Well, the good thing is your story's not over because you still got a lot more to do.
Well, that's the thing. This professor wants me to write another chapter.
Yeah,
He thinks I definitely have another part of the book to write about Boo Boo and
yeah,
my adventures in tattooing and So I'm thinking about that.
Yeah.
Making another part to
Well,
my
the
book.
coyote's still out there on the street making moves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
The coyote's not
I
done
got
yet.
stories. I still got. I'm
Yeah.
making new stories.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely. Yeah. So you're tattooing Shamrock. There's the whole transition to Hollywood Vatican, all that amazing. I get to thank God I get to be a part of some of that with you guys now.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. So look, here's a good way after all of that we've shown people everything you've been through, how we can come around. If Freddy right now could talk to young Freddy back then, if you could say a few things to that kid you were when you're going through all that, what would you tell him?
You know, wow. I don't know. I'd have to really think. Would I try to change my future, or probably not? Yes, I would want to avoid some of the painful things
Yeah.
that I've been through, and I've been through pain.
Yeah.
You know, with the loss of my sons,
Mm-hmm.
the loss of my health, nearly dying. You know, like
Yeah.
there's been some real hardships in my life. You know, starting from the very beginning.
Yeah.
But but that's what life is.
Yeah.
You know, my devotion to God right now is stronger than ever.
Okay.
That's funny because I made kind of like a full circle.
Full circle. Yeah.
You know, and I'm not ashamed to say that, you know, I believe in Jesus Christ, that I found real redemption, you know, through the sacrifice that Christ made for us
Amen.
to cover our sins
Mm-hmm.
and give us the opportunity to have a relationship
Yeah.
with the Father and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But but I'm not a big on preaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I sent you I send
I love the stuff you
scriptures.
send me in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I send scriptures to people, and
Yeah.
and everybody loves them. You know,
I love them.
try to encourage people and stuff like that. And but when I got sober, it's a spiritual program.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And you learn to rely on the God of your understanding.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
I think it's good because, it was able to, and I learned about my Judaism
Yeah.
and everything, like at being in that program, but
Mm-hmm.
just everything I went through after that just brought me back to Jesus,
It's amazing.
And yeah, I'm not the best guy, like
Yeah.
I do my best, but I have faith,
Yeah.
and that's what we need is some
Definitely.
faith. I think these days, we should all be looking to the spiritual.
I agree. I
part
definitely
of
agree.
life. You know what I mean? That it will make our life more full,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, you don't have to turn into some fanatic.
Yeah.
It's just a spiritual walk that you have with God. You believe in Him.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's some power because
Yeah.
life just didn't make itself.
Well, people like me and you are an example of there's obviously someone up there who has an idea for our lives.
Yeah. For me, I felt it in a very real way
Yeah.
by getting healed,
Mm-hmm.
like my body actually changing.
Mm-hmm.
And, like it's a miracle,
Yeah.
so, yeah. So I would always encourage that,
Right on.
and to, invite the spiritual aspect
Mhm.
into your life.
Right on.
And it would make things better. Like the atmosphere, like this political atmosphere and all this stuff.
Yeah.
For two reasons, like in the program,
Yeah.
we don't hold any political.
Yeah. We stay out of all that.
Yeah, we stay out of politics because, I want to save people's lives.
Yeah.
But if that person tells me that they're a Republican and I'm like, oh, okay, well, you
Yeah.
get
Yeah. No, we stay out of all that.
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
you want it, but not only that, for tattoo artists
Mhm.
also,
Yeah.
because I see some tattoo artists getting political,
Yeah.
but don't do that.
Yeah.
Why? Because one day I'm tattooing a Jew, the next day I'm tattooing a Muslim.
Yeah.
One day I'm tattooing cops, the next day I'm tattooing gangsters.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, what does the program say? And I think it's step 12 after you learn. My job is to be of maximum service. I can't be of maximum service if
Right.
I stay in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and you know what? It also leads to a more peaceful life.
Mm-hmm.
And people will say, why aren't you involved in this?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to look like you.
Yeah.
You
I
know
don't
what I
wanna
mean?
look
Like,
that. Yeah, definitely.
it's just like earthly politics bore me.
I agree.
And I don't think things are going to get a whole lot better. I hope we have a lot of future left on this earth. But
Yeah.
when the time comes, it's going to be the kingdom of God.
Yeah. Amen.
And those are going to be the politics.
Yeah,
You know what I
you're
mean?
right. That's true. Yeah.
So until then, just we do our best.
Amen. Right on. Well, thank you for coming, Freddie. Had a great talk with you.
All right.
And thank you for tuning in with us. It was such a good show. I'm still not even understanding what we just talked about. It was so amazing to hear these stories that I've never heard, and I'm so happy. Thanks for checking in with us. Drop it in the comments who you'd like us to talk with next. Brick by Brick.